Bernie, you've been in politics for 40 years. You've never built anything, never created a single job. Yet you lecture me about what I should do with my money. That's rich.
Elon, I don't have a problem with success. I have a problem with a system where one man is worth $200 billion, while millions of Americans can't afford healthcare, can't afford rent, can't afford to survive. That is morally obscene.
You want to tax me into oblivion to fund your socialist fantasies. That won't help anyone. It'll just make everyone equally poor.
Good evening. Tonight, a clash of ideologies that will define the 21st century. Elon Musk, the richest man on Earth, CEO of Tesla, SpaceX, and X, worth over $200 billion. A symbol of extreme wealth, innovation, and unrestrained capitalism. Versus Senator Bernie Sanders, America's most famous democratic socialist, champion of workers' rights, universal health care, and taxing the rich. This is not just about money. This is about power. This is about whether billionaires should even exist, whether capitalism creates prosperity or poverty, whether socialism is progress or disaster. For the next 12 minutes, the richest man alive versus the man who wants to take his wealth. Capitalism versus socialism. The battle for America's economic future begins now. Senator Sanders, you have famously said, billionaires should not exist. Elon Musk is worth over $200 billion. Why, specifically, should someone like him not be allowed to have that much wealth? 1 minute?
Let me be very clear. I don't have a problem with people being successful. I don't have a problem with entrepreneurs. But we are living in a moment of grotesque and immoral wealth inequality. The top 0.1%, people like Elon, own more wealth than the bottom 90% of Americans combined. That is not entrepreneurship. That is oligarchy. While Elon is worth $200 billion, half of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. 60% can't afford a $400 emergency. 45,000 people die every year because they can't afford health care. In the richest country on earth, we have children going hungry. That is a moral obscenity. And here's the truth. Elon didn't build his wealth alone. He benefited from government subsidies, government contracts, public infrastructure, workers who built his products. Yet he fights unions, pays relatively low effective tax rates, and hoards wealth he could never spend in 1,000 lifetimes. In a just society, there is no ethical justification for one person to have $200 billion while people are dying because they can't afford insulin. Billionaires should not exist.
Bernie, everything you just said is economically illiterate. You want to punish success. You want to tear down the people who actually build things and create value. That's not morality, that's envy disguised as justice. First, my wealth is not sitting in a vault. It's in Tesla stock, SpaceX stock, companies that employ hundreds of thousands of people, that are solving climate change with electric vehicles, that are making humanity multiplanetary. If you force me to sell my stock to pay your wealth tax, I lose control of my companies. Innovation dies. Second, I've paid more taxes than any human in history. In 2021 alone, I paid over $11 billion in taxes. That's more than Bernie has contributed to society in his entire career. I didn't pay income tax for years because I reinvested everything into my companies, took massive risks, and lived on borrowed money. That's not a loophole. That's how you build the future. Third, government subsidies. Tesla paid back every loan with interest years early. SpaceX saved NASA billions by making rockets reusable. We delivered value far beyond what we received. Meanwhile, Bernie wants to give trillions to bureaucrats who've never built anything. And workers, I pay higher wages than most competitors. I give stock options. My employees become millionaires. Bernie's policies would destroy jobs, crush innovation, and make everyone equally poor. Look at Venezuela. Look at the Soviet Union. Socialism doesn't work. It never has. It never will.
Elon, Senator Sanders, and many Americans say you don't pay your fair share in taxes. ProPublica revealed that in some years, you paid zero federal income tax despite your wealth growing by billions. You say you're the biggest taxpayer in history. Who's telling the truth? 1 minute.
Both things are true, and Bernie knows it but lies anyway. Yes, there were years I paid zero income tax. Why? Because I had zero income. I don't take a salary from Tesla or SpaceX. My wealth is in stock. Stock is only taxed when you sell it. I didn't sell, so I didn't pay. But in 2021, when I exercised stock options, I paid over $11 billion in taxes, the largest individual tax payment in American history. That's not avoiding taxes. That's how the system works. If you want me to pay taxes every year, you're asking for a wealth tax, which means forcing me to sell my companies to pay the government. That's insane. And here's what Bernie won't tell you. The fair share argument is a scam. The top 1% already pay 40% of all federal income taxes. The bottom 50% pay almost nothing. I'm subsidizing Bernie's socialist fantasies. You're welcome, Bernie.
Elon just admitted the problem. He paid zero taxes in multiple years, while his wealth grew by tens of billions. A teacher, a nurse, a firefighter pays 20 to 30% of their income every single year. But a billionaire? 0%. That's not a system. That's a rigged game. And yes, he paid $11 billion once. Good. But let's do the math. His wealth grew by over $100 billion in recent years, an effective tax rate of around 3 to 4%. Meanwhile, working people pay far more as a percentage of what they earn. That's the definition of unfair. The top 1% pay 40% argument? Misleading. Yes, they pay a lot in absolute dollars because they have all the money. But as a percentage of their wealth, they pay far less than working families. And much of their wealth is never taxed at all because it's locked in stocks they never sell. That's why we need a wealth tax, 1 to 3% annually on wealth over $50 million. It's not selling your companies. It's asking billionaires to contribute a tiny fraction of their obscene fortunes to fund healthcare, education, and infrastructure for everyone. Elon can afford it. America can't afford not to do it.
Senator, Elon Musk's companies are heavily automated. Tesla factories use robots extensively. SpaceX is replacing traditional aerospace jobs with reusable rockets. You say he's anti-union and anti-worker. He says automation is inevitable and creates new, better jobs. Who's right about the future of work?
Automation is not the problem. Greed is the problem. When productivity goes up because of robots and technology, who benefits? Right now, all the gains go to people like Elon and his shareholders. Workers get nothing, or they get fired. Tesla workers have reported horrific conditions: long hours, low pay, unsafe factories, union-busting tactics. Elon doesn't want workers to organize because that would cut into his profits. He wants all the power. Here's what should happen. If robots make production more efficient, workers should share in those gains. Shorter work weeks, higher wages, profit sharing, worker representation on corporate boards like they have in Germany. Technology should benefit everyone, not just the billionaire class. And let's be clear, Elon didn't invent electric cars or rockets. His workers did. Engineers, technicians, factory workers, they built Tesla and SpaceX. Elon took the credit and the money. That's not innovation, that's exploitation.
Bernie, you have no idea how businesses actually work. Let me educate you. Tesla pays above-average wages for manufacturing. We give stock options to workers, which means when the company succeeds, they succeed. Many of my employees have become millionaires from their stock. Unions? I'm not anti-worker, I'm anti-bureaucracy. Unions protect bad workers and create inefficiency. In a competitive global market, we can't afford to move slowly. If Tesla becomes like GM with bloated union contracts, we go bankrupt and everyone loses their job. Automation is inevitable. If I don't automate, my competitors in China will, and they'll destroy us. The choice isn't robots or humans, it's American robots or Chinese robots. I'd rather it be us. And workers built Tesla. Sure, and I gave them jobs, direction, and risk capital. Without me, there is no Tesla. I mortgaged everything I had. I slept on the factory floor. I risked total ruin. Bernie has never risked anything in his life. He's been a politician, living off taxpayers for 40 years. As for the future, I support universal basic income when automation becomes total. But that's 20+ years away. Right now, we need to build, and you can't build the future by punishing the people who take risks.
Direct exchange. One hard question each. Senator Sanders, you begin.
Elon, you claim to care about humanity's future, Mars, climate change, technology, but you union bust. You pay minimal taxes, you hoard wealth, and your platform X spreads disinformation and hate. If you really cared about people, why do your actions say the opposite? Why is greed more important than decency?
Bernie, I've done more for climate change than every politician combined. Tesla has prevented millions of tons of CO2 emissions. Solar City, Powerwall, battery technology, that's real action, not empty words. SpaceX is making humanity multiplanetary, which is the ultimate insurance policy for civilization. I don't hoard wealth. My wealth is in my companies, actively building the future. You want me to liquidate and give it to government bureaucrats who waste trillions on wars, corporate bailouts, and corruption. No thanks. And X? Free speech is messy. It's uncomfortable. But the alternative is censorship by elites who decide what you're allowed to think. I'd rather have chaos and freedom than controlled conformity. You've been in politics for 40 years. What have you built? What have you created? You renamed post offices. I'm building rockets, electric cars, and neural interfaces. We are not the same. Bernie, you've been railing against millionaires and billionaires for decades. Then you became a millionaire from your book deals. Suddenly, you stopped talking about millionaires, only billionaires. My question, aren't you the ultimate hypocrite? You got rich off capitalism while preaching socialism. How is that not fraud?
I wrote a best-selling book. I made money, I paid my taxes, every single cent. And yes, I'm doing fine. That doesn't change the fact that the system is rigged for people like you, not people like me. I'm fighting for a system where everyone can have a decent life. Healthcare, education, retirement, not just billionaires. You're fighting to keep your $200 billion. We are not the same, Elon.
Final statements, 30 seconds each. Senator Sanders, you begin.
This debate is about values. Do we want a country where a handful of billionaires hoard unimaginable wealth while working people struggle to survive? Or do we want a country that works for everyone, with healthcare, education, and dignity for all? Elon Musk represents the past. Greed, exploitation, inequality. I represent the future. Justice, fairness, and a government that serves the people, not the billionaires. The choice is yours.
Bernie wants to redistribute wealth. I want to create it. He wants to punish success. I want to reward it. He wants government control. I want freedom and innovation. Socialism has failed everywhere it's been tried. Capitalism, for all its flaws, has lifted billions out of poverty and created the modern world. If you want to go to Mars, cure diseases, and solve climate change, you need people like me, risk-takers, builders, dreamers. Not politicians. The future belongs to those who build it.